friends, thanks for coming back to PRM. I'm David D, and let's continue with Sabotage. Bernie Sanders does another CNN town hall. Okay, so like I said, Bernie Sanders was sabotaged by CNN. Maybe not throughout the whole thing, but definitely through big chunks of it, and it was pretty staggering. I just never. The Fox News interview looks great compared to this. Wow, CNN really went for the throat here in some questions. But let's go over some and see if they pop up. Okay, so the next question is, what will be your trade policies compared to Trump? Okay, fairly benign, right? Bernie said something, I believe in fair trade, but I don't believe in unfettered free trade. Okay, so we know that Bernie has voted against NAFTA, CAFTA, the TPP, and others. So we know Bernie's all about fair trade. So this is kind of like just an old talking point that he's always for fair trade, not the kind of trade that benefits CEOs and corporations and stuff like that. If the trade policy works for the workers, he's going to support it. If it doesn't, he's not going to support it. It's pretty simple. So he pretty much made that clear. And he said, bottom line, trade is a good thing. So he believes in trade. It just has to be fair. So that was not so much sabotage there, but, there's more. Tax returns. Okay, it might be here. See, tax returns. Your tax return said that you are, in fact, a millionaire. How would you respond to the concerns that your financial status undermines your authority as someone who has rallied against millionaires and billionaires? And one thing I noticed just on Bernie's face after these questions are asked, he really pauses, and sometimes he just has just a bewildered look, like, what did you just say? And we were all feeling it. I had the exact same response that Bernie did. I was just like, what'd you just say? Anyway, he said a little joke just to lighten it up because it's such a weird question. But he eventually said, I plead guilty. I plead guilty to writing a book that was an international bestseller. And then he said, he's like, basically, you're asking me the question, now that I've made this money, will it change my policies? And the answer is no. And then he went in to talk about how he voted against Trump's disastrous tax cuts. The tax cuts that went to the top, what was it? 83% of those tax cuts went to the top 1% over a 10-year period. He voted against that. He also went on to talk about how he's for progressive tax cuts that would affect people like himself. And it's just like we've heard for years. Bernie does rant against millionaires and billionaires, right? But for the most part, it's about them not paying their fair share. Okay? So, once again, they left that out. And just, once again, disingenuous framing. Disingenuous framing. It just keeps showing up. It's just kind of ridiculous. So, yeah, they tried it there on tax returns, for sure. Okay, next question. What is one... I actually like this. I want to study this a little bit. What is one thing you've changed your mind about recently? Very plain sounding question. And I think that kind of ties into, Bernie has just been consistently the same for so long, which is a good thing when you're about the right things. So, yeah, I just thought that was very, very plainly packaged. I kind of like it, but it's CNN, so I want to be naturally suspicious of it, right? Okay, but anyway, he answered this very honestly, and this really goes to Bernie's integrity as a person, in my opinion. He said, quote, I am paying more attention right now to foreign policy. A lot of us have been talking about this too. He said, I was rightfully criticized last time, and I should have paid more attention to foreign policy. So just look at that for a second. That's a man of integrity right there. To publicly say I was wrong, that I should have done something that I did. It just says a lot about him. It says a lot about someone's character who says that, fesses up, and they're trying to do character assassination throughout this whole CNN town hall, and then he says something like that. It clears the palate. You cannot trash that. Okay, so it's a beautiful contrast to these disingenuously framed questions, where it's just like, okay, he says something like, I was wrong, and I was rightfully criticized. You can't attack that, because that is just him being very, very honest. So are you going to attack him for being honest now? Let's see how far the bottom of the barrel goes with CNN, right? Okay. So he talked about how he's overtly concerned about domestic policy, and we all recognize that. Bernie is a savage on domestic policy matters, such as healthcare, free college, Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and he does get carried away with it, and it leaves gaps in his foreign policy. He recognizes it, he addressed it, he basically apologized for it, and he said he wants to do a better job with that. He needs to be more rounded with his foreign policy. It's a grievance I hear in literally every progressive circle I'm in, and this is him owning up to that. So that's good that he publicly came out and talked about it. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and then I'll come out with part 3 here shortly. Like, share, subscribe, and click the bell on the side.